Hello again, everybody, and welcome to this very special edition of Freeform Friday right here on a Saturday afternoon. Joining me at this time are my guests, none other than René Dupré and Sylvain Granier of La Résistance. What's going on, guys? How are you?
Phenomenal. Thanks for having us.
So happy to be here. I love Montreal.
Can you make it more sincere?
I love Montreal.
There we
I
go.
love it.
Thank you. How you doing, man?
Fantastic.
I
Thank you
love
for
your
being
t-shirt.
here. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Good old Jim Cornette.
There we go.
Yeah, that's amazing.
So, my first question to the both of you, whoever wants to go first, is how you got started in wrestling and were you a fan growing up?
I was a fan. I used to go see Hulk Hogan at the Forum, like before the Bell Center here in Montreal, with my mom sleeping and me watching the show. And I was a big fan until the Warrior became the champion. So that brings us to SummerSlam '93.
No, he became the champion at WrestleMania 6. Toronto,
Okay.
1990.
So until that era.
Wait, you didn't like the really?
I'm a Hogan guy. Anyway, so yeah, I was a fan. I had a fake wrestling to Cincinnati the first time I met you.
Heartland Wrestling Association.
Yeah.
That's
So
where I had my tryout. Yeah.
And
then it was a week-long tryout. Yours?
I think it was.
Yeah.
It was as long.
Yeah, it was right
Seemed like
after.
that. Dr. Tom was there.
Mm-hmm.
And all those guys from WCW was there. Those
Mm.
tall guys, big motherfuckers.
Oh, the Sean O'Hares and Jim Drax.
Jim Drax and Horseshoe.
Horseshoe was there.
Yeah, I remember. I wrestled him. I got a promo. All you smell like a horse. So yeah, that was fun, and that's how I start. You try to make a good first impression, and they were looking for future entertainment, so I was what they were looking for at the time. So I was lucky. How about you, Renee? How'd you start? You started when you were 7 or 6?
Let's see. Yeah, I was 7 or 8. My dad got me booked out in Stampede. I was 9.
For real? Shut up.
No, I was 14. So my dad had a promotion for years and years and years, and then in 1990 he had to shut it down because all the territories kind of went to the wayside or whatever. So then 97 he got the bug to do it again, and local wrestlers were calling him, begging him to run shows and stuff. And since I was 13, I was old enough to at least put up the ring and sell merchandise, and he could see it when I was a little kid. I loved wrestling. I had the figurines of the wrestling. My walls were covered with wrestlers. So 13, I began, putting up rings and selling merchandise, being on the road with the guys. And then 14, I bulked up my body to about 200 pounds and got in the ring and wrestled. But he wouldn't just run shows, he ran tours. So first tour in 98 was 6 weeks, but we ran 7 nights a week.
But question for you.
Yeah.
You probably had that question also, but usually when your dad was part of the business or he wrestled himself, usually they don't want their kids to do anything of it.
I don't think.
Was he against it in the beginning?
Yeah, he was.
They want better. They always say, I want better for my kids.
Yeah, because he could see how much the business had changed. That where, like, when he was wrestling, there was 30 or 40 different territories you could go wrestle.
Yeah.
And now it was down to one. And it's like, you got to be the elite of the elite to make it to WWE. You know what I mean? So, but he could see that I had the OCD and the passion. I mean, I'd be in the gym working out. He told me you got to be 200 pounds. At 14, I got to 200 pounds, you know. So, but that's when the boom happened too. 98, 99, wrestling boom happened. 99, he ran 128 shows in a row.
That's insane.
He ran it like the territory of old, where he could run weekly towns, and we were doing good
So
business.
what was the territory? Maritime?
Just the Maritimes.
That's it?
New Brunswick, Nova Scotia, Prince Edward Island. And we ran 7 nights a week, 128 shows in a row with weekly towns. And we were averaging 300 to 400 people in some of those towns, which, you know, people watching WWE, 300, 400 people. But if you're an independent promoter and you're doing 300 or 400 people every week,
that's phenomenal.
That's phenomenal, you know. So, yeah, by 2000, we ran again. But then, well, it's a long story. When I read my book, I'll get into that. But basically, I wanted to make my resume look very impressive because I knew my goal was to make it to WWE. I knew Vince McMahon was a bodybuilding fanatic.
Yeah.
So I got into bodybuilding and did contests, and I ended up winning the provincials. Then I won the nationals.
You won Mr. Canada.
I won Mr. Canada at 17. So when I sent in my resume, because I didn't call in any favors, I sent in my resume. When they looked at it and they said, okay, he's 18 years old. He just won the Mr. Canada Bodybuilding Championship. He's got 4 years experience, 500 matches working with his dad's, you know, who his dad is. They brought me in for a tryout, same Cincinnati, and I got hired. Youngest in history. Fuck Teddy Hart.
You made the conscious decision to go to bodybuilding because Vince liked
because
bodybuilding?
I knew I knew the WBF.
That was smart.
Well,
that was
business. Don't give me credit for being, you know, a little, got a few brain cells.
Yeah, but that's good.
Yeah.
And so you both said that you spent some time in Cincinnati. So I take it you also were trained, or you had some time spent with Les Thatcher.
He did.
Okay, but what do you recall of Les Thatcher?
He was big on bodies. He always, because he knew that's what WWE wanted, you know. It's just okay.
That was random.
Technical difficulties right there.
James, baby.
Are we talking to ourselves? Is that not?
No, I think he put me because we're streaming live with Rene, Cafe de Rene, and I think he has issue with the cameras. But keep your story.
Okay, so yeah, all those promoters back then, man, like even in Japan, like when Muda would book you, he wanted to see what you look like. Brian Dixon, who just passed away this year, longtime UK promoter, he wouldn't even watch your matches. He looked at an 8x10. Same with my dad. The first thing before even looking at matches, he wanted to see what you look like.
Yeah, because on the poster, that's all you got.
That's right. Can if you're walking by and you're looking at the poster, are you going to do this? And who's that? Right. Yeah. So it's all, you know.
That was Vince's mentality also.
And it's still Vince's mentality, you know.
Less.
You think so? Well, you know more.
Well, no, maybe still Vince, but the company different because a lot of people like CM Punk proved them wrong.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. You actually need talent in the ring, true, right? But anyway, yeah, I did that trial, got hired, and we're on Les Thatcher. So I was only around Les Thatcher 3 weeks. So
only 3 weeks.
I was there April, May of 2002. I got sent back home to take care of visa. And during that time, they shut down HWA.
When I met you didn't have your visa yet? In Cincinnati for that tryout?
Right. They were processing it. And I was, for some reason, I had to be in the United States for 3 or 4 weeks. Then they sent me home for 3 months to get the visa processed.
Yeah.
And during that time is when they shut down HWA. They got rid of them.
All right, so I have another question here, and this is one that my co-host Alan Greenberg wanted to ask you specifically, Renee. He wanted to ask about your time growing up as a kid when your dad was running Atlantic Grand Prix Wrestling, experiences as a child, perspective from watching it as a kid, and stories involving wrestlers staying at your dad's place.
Fondest memories of my life. The summers were great. My dad would get a big RV, and it was a family thing. We'd all get on the RV and we'd do the territory. Every night was a different. It was like an
With your
adventure.
brothers and mother?
With my brother and mother, yeah.
Wow.
The RV. And we travel all over the Maritimes in the summer. Harley raced at our house. Great Harley story. We had the house, then we had a separate apartment on the same property, right? It had a toilet and bed, but they would all come
Like a
down,
guest house.
like a guest house. They would come in, have breakfast, shower, and then have dinner. My mom would always cook 3 meals a day for them. Treated them good. But Harley would like to start drinking around noon. He was a smoker, so it's like 12 o'clock. He's got his he might have been drinking either beer or maybe whiskey, and he had a cigarette. And then I was about 6 years old, and I'm just in awe, right? Because here's a wrestler. I'm just staring at him. Takes a drink, takes a drag. Hey, kid, you want to go for some ice cream? Yes, please. Let me finish my drink. Let me get in his Cadillac and go for some ice cream.
They were drinking before the shows?
He was.
Wow.
Yeah.
Different days.
Different mentality back then. Yeah.
All right, and now I have another question from Alan, and of course, Renee, this is for you. And he says, there are a rare number of promoters who breathe rarefied air of respectability, such as Houston's Paul Bosch and Portland's Pacific Northwest Wrestling's Don Owen. Emile Dupree is often considered in that category. What are your thoughts on it, and how has it influenced your take on the wrestling business?
Well, it's kind of funny that Sly's here, but Pat Patterson and my father had a very similar pathways in wrestling because they both broke in the United States for the same promoter
In Boston.
Tony Santos. Pat started locally, if I'm not mistaken, right, in Montreal, wrestling the local shows. My dad started locally in the Maritimes. Boom. My father actually hitchhiked to Boston. I think Pat's family
Took the bus.
But they both started in the same place. And then, like back then, there was 30, 40 different promoters, and then they branched off. And it's funny, they never met each other.
Really?
They never met each other.
Big?
That's how big wrestling was back then. Think about it. They each had, 25-year careers as a wrestler?
Oh, as a wrestler, more than that. Pat started, he was 18.
My dad was 18 when he got to the same thing.
Boston, he moved there, he was 18, and probably his last match, he become the hardcore champion or the 24/7 champion. He was 81, I think.
But before he went and worked for Vince in the office, it was in the 70s, right?
Yeah,
So
late
probably
70s.
20,
so I would say
20, 25 years.
Yeah.
Yeah. So during that time, imagine you got 2 French Canadians having a 25-year career.
never met.
Not even met.
That's crazy.
That's how busy, how much work there was, right? So, but as far as it influenced me, I learned the business from the old school. Okay, I guarantee you put guys who are my age right now on television, Kevin Owens, I couldn't have a conversation with them because of my teachings or something that they'd be alien to them, like the names.
Is it hard for you to work with the new generation? Because when we were in WWE, like I said earlier, we were in the mix. There was new school, there was a lot of old school. Now
Right.
it's just new school.
Right.
But your mentality, even if you went to Japan,
Well,
really old school.
Here's the thing, I do, but like I said, I stayed in the business and I changed with the
you
times.
adapt.
And all these guys you see on TV, they're so heavily influenced by Japanese wrestling, it's unbelievable.
A lot of spots.
Right. So a lot of the stuff that they're doing, I could say, okay, yeah, you're doing that hell of a kick, but I actually work with Kawada, who invented it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You know what I mean? There's a difference there. A lot of those guys that they watch, I actually worked and had programs with. Yeah.
All right. So another question that I want to ask the both of you, of course, when you were in the WWE as La Resistance, of course, we won't get into, of course, how you were paired together or what the circumstances were. I know that you had a bit of a controversial run. Of course, you've told many different stories of what were, I guess you could say, turning points in both your careers. If you could say there was one person in the office that you would say hindered your career and put a stop to the fact that your careers could have been a lot better than they were, not to say that they weren't, they were you had a very successful run, but who would you say was the person that kept you down, so to speak, in the office, let alone the locker room?
Well, first we got together. They put us together. I don't think you need to be a genius to realize in Mutiny we look similar. We were young stud. We were both speaking French, and they had an idea with the gimmick with the French thing. So I don't think
Even before the whole Iraqi war thing, Pat wanted to put me and you together. 100%.
yeah,
Yeah. We were in
it would make
Cincinnati. It was
sense.
for TV.
It would make sense.
And then Pat's like, yeah, I was just wondering, maybe what you and Sly looked like together in the ring. This is before the whole Iraqi war happened. When that happened, it was like, okay, you guys don't have, we're doing it because it was hot.
Yeah,
gimmick was hot.
Yeah, and what I was gonna say, yeah, we look alike, and we he had way more experience than me. But when you're a decent athlete, you can cover up. You know, it's a 7-minute match.
No, you were a quick learner though.
Yeah, but you can cover up. You know, but one thing I didn't have that he did was psychology. I didn't know what to do first, or I didn't understand that concept. They teach us how to do things, but they never really have a class about psychology. You have to learn it. You know, it's a craft. It's time and time. But I think you can be bitter about a career getting cut short or whatever, but it's always our fault. Why we're not there? It's because maybe in deep inside we don't want to be there. We were not happy there. We want to do something else. I know for me, wrestling was part of my life. It was not my life. Rene, wrestling, it's his life. That's why he went to Japan and he worked there for 15 years. So I know I had issues backstage with a couple agents like Arn Anderson. And I had argument because I didn't like injustice or something. I screamed in gorilla position in front of Vince to Johnny Ace one time. I remember because I was just want to put my point across, and I didn't do it correctly, but that was my way to express it. I didn't get fired. They'd probably respect me more. I know Vince liked me because he tried to put gimmick on me. He saw something, but I think I relied too much on my look, and I didn't work hard enough to be better. I could have been. I was a phenomenal athlete. Never got hurt. I broke my neck, but that was an accident. So I could have been better, but I didn't put the time. I was not savvy like some of the guys, like maybe the Miz or those guys who was always want to improve, and I just stay on a certain level. So that's my fault. I don't blame anyone. You know, you make your own path.
Very well said.
Thank you.
All right. And another question that I wanted to ask you, Sylvain. Of course, you had a very brief run as an agent with the WWE. Yeah. Could you tell us a bit about what how that experience was?
It was phenomenal because when you go to the meetings and you see how they process the meetings and they have their sheet and everything, when you're on the other side, you're the wrestler and you're waiting for the meetings to be over and you're waiting for those space to come out where I'm at. I'm on it. I'm not. Am I going to go eat cookies at catering all day waiting for nothing? Your life depends on that meeting that day. So they come out of that meeting at 1 p.m. You're like, the happiest guy ever. We get ready for a main event or for a championship match, or we're not on the map. We're not on the card and we're not doing anything. And now we're depressed for the whole week until the next Monday. So when you're backstage as a producer, you learn that. I've learned that on my own when I did my TV show in Canada and producing for another sports channel. But with WWE, I saw they don't say names, or it's a puzzle. Maybe your piece today works great for that puzzle, but next week it won't. There's a couple of guys. If you look at a WWE magazine or those they sell those souvenirs, there's a couple of guys who has a full page. This is where the money is. Those guys draw money. For us, La Resistance, even when we're champion, we're exchangeable. They can put us in the main event. It will make sense. We're champion. We're the greatest heel at the time. Or we can be none of the card and it won't change anything. We're not Hogan, Rock, Stone Cold, but we can help those guys get over, you know? So it's just know your role. And when they give you the ball, don't drop it. You know, that's the key. When they give you the ball, don't drop it and make it means more. Do a little bit, but try to get the most out of that little bit. And I think, on my part, that's what it is. How about you?
Yeah. One thing we learned when training on Rip Rogers, you got to be overly prepared. Be ready for whatever they throw at you. You want to, if they want you to do a certain role, good guy, bad guy, dress up like a chicken and roost. Okay, we'll do it to the best of your ability, and do it with, sometimes there's a lot of tests in wrestling.
Of course.
Promoters will test you to see how far they can take you. You know what I mean? Sometimes it's not so fair, but that's it. Listen, when you got the keys of the kingdom and you're the only game in town, they want to see if they can trust you. So, there's been a lot of guys, like you mentioned, the Jizz or the Miz. They put him through a lot of BS, a lot of BS to test his attitude, to test to see exactly.
Who's laughing now?
Well, he made a lot of money.
Yeah, but he was tough.
Yeah.
And my very last question to you both is, if you had one last go ahead or one last run in the WWE, if there was a tag team that you would like to work with today, who would that be?
Who can we make money with?
Well, who can we put over? Because that's our role. And the good thing about La Resistance is we're exchangeable. We're a trio. One can get hurt, the other two can work. And we're still young and healthy to have another run. But even if it's not WWE, it's not on TV, we're doing it for fun now. We're independent. We love where we're at. And it's freedom. Doing stuff today, it's fun. If we would not have fun, we wouldn't do it.
No, 100%.
Right?
If I'm in a position, and so is he. If we're not enjoying what we're doing, we can say adios and we can do something else. Life's too short. I just lost my father, and guess what? Life's too short.
It is.
To not enjoy it.
Yeah.
So,
Good point. Good point.
Good
but
point.
You have your podcast. You have all that stuff that comes from wrestling.
Exactly.
But the real, it's hard to not doing the ring. I miss that physical part of it. And Renee too. And you miss the fans, you miss the reaction, you miss oh man, we had a good match. Yeah, but he fucked up. Yeah, but we can see that he fucked up. We covered up, and it's a challenge every night. So we miss that part, miss the boys. Every time I see the boys, it's fun. We chit-chat with Chavo the other day. It was so much fun to hear from him, and he's doing great with his movie business. So I'm glad when I see success out of those guys, talented guys. Sometimes it's outside of wrestling, and sometimes it's still part of wrestling. But something connects us because we live something very special that only few is going to have the chance to live, and to work for the biggest entertainment company in the world and for those fans.
But look, it's lasted a lifetime.
Yeah. 25 years. We still talk about it.
We're still here, and we're still getting a good payday.
Yeah.
I mean, thank you. Thank you, LWA Promotions. We appreciate that very much. But the thing is, it's lasted us a lifetime.
But that's what wrestling is beautiful, because it's a story. It's about emotion. It's a roller coaster of emotion. And when we came in today in that museum and we see all those figurines that I play with when I was 7 years old and 8 years old, it brings back memories. And that's why people are in love with wrestling, or what was in love with wrestling, or just keep watching or collecting, or it's in our core. It's emotion. It brings back memories. So it's a love affair.
Oh, I'm still in love with wrestling.
Yeah. Does
Oh,
it love
yeah.
you back?
This weekend it does.
Good.
All right, so we're going to wrap things up right around this time. I want to thank you both, Sylvain, René. Merci beaucoup. Also, be sure to check out René's YouTube channel, Café de René. I want to thank each and every one of you for watching. Thank you all very much for participating. And that's a wrap.
Thank you
That's
for
it.
having
Thank
us,
you.
man.
Thank you.
How was your experience?
We done?
Are you okay?